Yeah, this Bryan. Yep. He's the man. He's the. Oh, we started? Okay, let's do this. Hey everybody, Bryan here with the first installment of Bryan Discusses. Bum ba da dum bum bum bum. Now, if people don't know what I'm doing here today, it's to start talking about the topic, the simulation theory. And you may ask, Bryan, what the hell is a simulation theory? Easy answer, actually. If you've seen The Matrix, that's pretty much the idea behind the story. Just maybe not the evil robot part using us as batteries. So to really understand this and grasp what this is and why scientists around the world are actually leaning to this way of thinking, we should probably start at the beginning. So believe it or not, this scientific conversation doesn't actually begin in the world of hard scientists. This actually starts with two philosophers named Democritus and Plato. What does that mean? Let's tell me nothing. What? I got you. Okay. So Democritus and Plato. Now, most people have heard of Plato at one point or another in their lives, so let's start with the lesser-known Democritus. Okay. So Democritus actually means chosen by the people. So this guy may have had a part in the creation of democracy. I'm not too sure. Didn't read that far. So anyways, he was born in Greece around the year 460 BC, but this is in a place called Abdera in Thrace. It's said that he died around 370 BC, but this isn't really known. Some say that he lived until he was 90, others say that he lived until he was 105, which is crazy to think that even at 90 to live to that age, nuts. So anyways, he was an influential Greek philosopher that is best known for his formulation of an atomic theory of the universe. He came from this noble family that was apparently like crazy rich, like dollar bills, y'all rich, like nuts. He actually ended up spending his father's inheritance that he left him to travel around and meet other scholars. He went to Asia, and it's said that he made it as far as India and Ethiopia. Some even say that on his travels he became acquainted and was taught by Ostanes, a magi that traveled around with Xerxes, the Persian king. I don't know about you, but I picture the big guy from 300 when I think of Xerxes. You know, the big, tall, black dude with all the piercings and the gold on him. So he was popularly known as the laughing philosopher for his tendency to laugh at human follies, something that I think we are all guilty of at one point or another in our lives. The term abteritan laughter, which means scoffing, and abterite, which means a scoffer, are derived from Democritus. His fellow citizens used to refer to him as the mocker. Sounds like my kind of guy. I think I could have kicked it with old Democritus personally. So Democritus followed the tradition of materialists, the idea that everything is the result of natural law. Materialism is a form of philosophical monoism, which holds that matter is the fundamental substance in nature, and that all things, including mental things and consciousness, are a result of material interactions. So this is pretty much trying to say that matter and the shape it takes is what we perceive. And through that perception of the matter we see, we create our reality around that. Pretty heavy stuff, I know. And I can see why people believe this for so long. It makes sense. That's a rock over there. I see it. It is a rock. That is my reality. Makes sense, right? But now let's take a look at our other friend Plato and see what this cat was all about, okay? So Plato was also from Greece, most likely born in like Athens or Aegina, and actually lived around the same time as Democritus. He was born around 427 BC and died around 348 BC. Once again, no one really knows for sure, but this is a close enough approximation. His exact history is still a bit of a mystery, but we do know that he came from an aristocratic and influential family. Some said his father, Ariston, could track his lineage back to the king of Athens, Codrus. He was actually originally named Aristocles after his grandfather. So how did the name Plato come into play? Some say his wrestling coach Ariston of Argos dubbed him Platon, meaning broad, due to his robust figure. Some even say he wrestled in the Isthmian Games. Now, this guy was most likely taught by the best teachers of his era, so he wasn't wanting for much, you know. But most likely one of his biggest influences was his teacher Socrates. Another name we have all probably heard at one point or another. So this guy I'm talking about, this is Socrates. Another name we've all heard, right? So with his help, Plato came up with this idea. As funny as it is, he called it idealism. His idea, idealism, not too original, I know, but we'll let it slide. Now he says that matter is real, though short-lived and imperfect, and is perceived by our body and its senses and given life by the eternal ideas that are perceived directly by our rational soul. Or as stated by Ming Chinese Neo-Confucian philosopher, who was also an official, an educationist, a calligraphist, and a general, Wang Yang Ming. This guy right here, I don't know if you can see him, but I like his beard. He held that objects do not exist entirely apart from the mind because the mind shapes them. It is not the world that shapes the mind, but the mind that gives reason to the world. So the mind alone is the source of all reason, having an inner light, an innate moral goodness, and understanding of what is good. And you thought Democritus said it sounded heavy, right? So pretty much what this is saying is that what we see in everyday life is made up by our perception of what we think it should be. And when unobserved, these things may act differently. Kind of like, let's say, a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make a sound. Who knows, those particles might not react that way because there's no one to observe them, so they might not create a sound, if you're following my train of thought. Definitely a difficult concept to wrap your mind around, yes I know, but that is the point of these videos, to challenge ourselves, to think about topics that we wouldn't regularly discuss. This is the whole point of this. Now you may be asking, okay, now how does this relate to actual science and the simulation principle? Trust me, my friends, it does. And I will be happy to learn how it does with you guys next time. Thank you. Okay, wait, give me a second. Whoop. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time on Bryan's Discussions.